Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, and I'm back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Today I'll be talking about Survivor Season 44, Episodes 2 and 3, okay? I'm gonna try and make it brief because I don't want you guys sitting here for 45 minutes trying to hear my recap. I want you guys to watch the episode, but I also want you to come back here for your thoughts, okay? So Episode 2 starts out with Brandon confronting Kane about voting him out, or trying to vote him out, because I thought we were boys, I thought we were on the same side, and you chose Maddie. And it's funny because he's like, oh, well, I thought I was on the majority. Now, why would you think you're in the majority when Jamie used her shot in the dark, Matt used his shot in the dark, and Lauren says she wasn't gonna, she didn't have a vote. So Kane should have been like, you know what? If I want to work with Brandon, I'm going to vote out Maddie, especially because he has an idol. Granted, it wouldn't make him use it or whatever, but you could have made him waste his idol. But he wasn't smart, and he went and sat on Maddie's side and tried to vote out Brandon. Brandon used his idol, and now Kane is all alone because Matthew, the guy with his arm in a sling, because he hurt his shoulder, wants to work with Brandon, but he didn't want it to be known. So that's why he used his shot in the dark. Pretty smart. But I still think he's done for climbing that rock. So anyway, then now Lauren has her extra vote because she didn't vote. Hopefully that works out for her. She doesn't go home with a bunch of advantages. We have our first Survivor lovebirds in a long time. We haven't had a couple or people that liked each other in quite a while. I think so many people have come and focused on the game, but we have Matt and Franny. Both kind of nerdy. Matthew just got out of, or is Matt, because there's a Matthew, but I think he goes by Matt. So Matt just kind of got out of a relationship, and I think it's like a gut punch to him. So for him to find a girl like Franny so quickly, I think he thought it was going to be a long time before he found another little girly, but he found her pretty quickly, and that's kind of exciting. But everybody knows you don't couple up on Survivor. You don't do that because they let Rob and Amber get away with it, and it was like never again. You cannot, because the problem with couples is, one, they don't go against each other, and two, that's automatically 2 votes every time. Every time. You cannot win against those odds. Like, you get 2 people, especially in a group of 6, 2 people is so close to the majority, you just need another 2 people to get on your side. You can never let those people stay together. I think they should be careful. I think the reason why right now people aren't really looking at it is because Soka's been so dominant, but also because they see Franny and Matt as kind of maybe weaker players. So maybe they're like, yeah, no big deal. They're cute. They're nerdy. But I don't care. I think once you have another person that's like on your side, dangerous games. Danny finds the key to the birdcage idol thing. He finds it, he opens it up, takes the idol, and then puts the bag back so people don't know it's open, which makes sense, right? Because for some reason, it's right in the open. So once it's taken, people will know. So you have to leave it there if you're smart. However, Carolyn finds the key, goes and pulls the bag out, and then runs back. And then while she's laying there, she realizes like, hey, I've been by myself. If they come back and find that cage empty, they're gonna know it's me. And she's like all over the place, frazzled. She runs back, she's shaking, her hands are shaking, she pushes it back in there. And I'm like, girl, it don't even look close to how it looked before you went in there. It looks like somebody touched it. And I love people like Carolyn on Survivor for the very fact that they make you feel the energy of being in the game. Like, they're very high intensity, they're anxious, they're excited, they're troubled, they're, and I love that because like the people that are super cool, super smooth, it's like, okay, we get it. You're a super fan. You think you know everything. You think you're so smart. But like watching her play, she doesn't think she's so smart. She doesn't think, like, she thinks she's smart, but it's like I don't know, like, and that I think is a good energy to feel as a viewer, because you're like, I'm here on my couch. How does it feel to be out there? And you see somebody like Carolyn and you're like, that's how it feels to be out there. Like, whoa, that level of intensity every moment. You don't know who's talking about you, who's talking with you, who's talking against you. It's kind of a nice, feel. So then Jam Jam, Helen, I think it's Sarah and Matt come back to the cage, and they see it and they're like, Carson's like, that doesn't look the same as it looked the last time. Somebody's been in that cage. And they're like, somebody has it. Immediately look around each other and are like, it's one of you. Y'all was just together. Why would you think it's one of you? There's two people that weren't here, or just one person, Carolyn, who wasn't here. That's the only person you should think it is. Why would you think it's any of y'all? Now, Carolyn crossing her arms looks suspicious. Jam Jam laughing looks suspicious. Sarah breathing looks suspicious. Like, and I know they probably think because Carolyn is so over the top that she probably wouldn't be able to keep the secret. But I'm just like, I would have, process of elimination, been like, Carolyn, you got it. Come on, girl. Tell us where it's at. But they were just like, it's one of them. And they're now suspicious of each other for no reason. But either way, I love Carolyn. The fact that they don't expect her to be quick or witty or any of those things, besides Jam Jam, because he loves her. But it's like, they just don't expect much from her, that the idol goes missing or looks touched while they're gone, and they don't even expect her. Oh, God. I don't know. Then they go to the immunity challenge. Like, other stuff happens, not as important. They go to the immunity challenge and Claire sits out. And I'm like, girl, this is the second time you're sitting out, but whatever, who knows? It's funny because the challenge, it has like multiple parts, but the last part of it is when they're like trying to put the color blocks together. Like, so you have to create like a 4-sided square thing, and none of the colors can match on any of the sides. It's a challenge that they use often, but whatever. Oh no, that's not the one. They do the challenge actually where they have to get the ball up to the top and put it in the hole. And it's funny because Matt, who's in a sling from falling out of the tree, is like, oh, I'll do it. I practice this all the time at home. And apparently he does. And so Ratu wins. And okay, so this is where I have my gripe, right? When you have these Survivor fans who go to their home and they go to their home and they practice all the games that they've seen, and then Jeffrey uses them in Survivor. Like, obviously, there has been 44 seasons of Survivor. I know it's probably hard for Survivor, Jeff, and all of them to come up with new puzzles, games. It's hard. It's hard. Eventually, you're going to have to start redoing stuff, and probably doing it more often than not now that you're 44 seasons in. But when these people can sit at home and practice, it kind of takes away that fun of everybody jumping in and doing it for the first time. It's kind of like, someone like Matt, who has been practicing it forever, can come from behind and just do and pull it to the top and win. But either way, Matthew won, Ratu won. I love Ratu, so I was excited for them. So that didn't bother me. I mean, did I say Ratu? Yes, Ratu won, because Ratu's on the orange team. I'm tripping. So there's so many teams. You see how I had to think about it? There are so many teams, people, Matt and Matthew, and messing that up. My mind just is jumbled. But yes, Ratu wins because Matthew is on Ratu. Matt is on Soka. But anyway, so he goes, he pulls it up, he wins, and then Soka comes in second, and then unfortunately Tika loses. And so that means Helen, Jam Jam, Sarah, Carson, and Carolyn are all going to tribal council. It's funny because they immediately go back and everybody's like, okay, we're voting out Carolyn. And everybody's like, okay, yeah, great, whatever. Jam Jam was like, Carolyn's my girl. So I'm not voting her out. So sorry, guys. He doesn't say that, but he goes to her and he's like, girl, who do you want out? I'm not with them. I'm with you. You my girl. And I love that about them. Love the two of them together. And it was just so funny because they're talking and they're like, okay, let's put up the initial of the person that we want to vote out. And they both go and make this initial. And I seriously sat there and was like, I don't know what initial that is because one, y'all both did different initials. But then they're both like, Helen H. I'm like, I literally spent probably every moment after the immunity challenge cracking up because Jam Jam and Carolyn are so freaking funny together. They make such an awesome pair for the show. Like, they are holding down season 44 with their hilarity. But yeah, so they're like, yes, that's what we're gonna do. Carson is talking with Sarah and Helen, and he's like, okay, you guys, I'm on your side. We're good. We're gonna vote out Carolyn because she's too unpredictable, too crazy. And it's funny because then Carson's like, a part of me wants to work with Jam Jam and Carolyn. And then the other part of me wants to work with Sarah and Helen. And he's like, and I really have to figure out what side of me is going to win this battle? What side of me am I going to actually want to work with? And that's the funny part. So ultimately, they get to tribal council. And the funny thing is we almost forgot, but Sarah doesn't actually have a vote because she lost her vote at the first tribal council and then got her advantage for the next. So she's like, even though she's talking about voting out Carolyn, she doesn't have that vote. So technically, if Carolyn and Jam Jam vote together and Carson and Helen vote together, it's just going to be a tie and they'll have to vote again. So we get to the vote, they vote, and it comes out, Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Carson all voted against Helen, and she had to deuce. Sadly, I'm not going to lie, I'm sad. It's another woman. Again, 2 women have gone early on. Like I said, women of color, always seem to leave pretty early in Survivor. So even though I wanted Helen out of the people in that team, it is sad to see that because that is an ongoing theme of Survivor. It's rare that men go first. And if it is a man, it's usually a man of color. It's funny. I've been watching Survivor. I've watched almost all the seasons. You just see some things that are constant. And that is one of those things. Helen seems great. But of the people on Tika, for me, I wanted her to go. So we get to episode 3. And because of what happened, Sarah is now starting to see past Carson's little geeky, not dumb, but like he plays like he's not as smart as he really is. And the boy is smart. He's actually very, very smart. Matt and Franny's relationship, people are starting to talk about it more. They're kind of like, wait, they're kind of really close. And I'm like, duh, like you guys should have peeped that episode 2 because they was acting up, you know. But like I said, it's just something to watch because as long as Soka isn't losing, it's not really as important, right? If they're a power couple and they don't lose and they don't go to tribal council, not a big deal. But if they're a power couple and y'all going to tribal council, you got to split that up. So Danny devises a plan where he, like, you know, remember he found the idol, so he puts the other idol back and he wants to go re-hide the key so someone can find it, and he wants to know who it is and make it public so he can put a target on their back. So he basically goes, hides the key, and Matt finds it, and not Matthew, sorry, Matthew's on Ratu. Matt finds it and he's like trying to hide it and keep it secret, and he's like, Matt, what did you find? Like, it's so funny because watching it as a person who has all sides of what's going on, it's like, come on, you can't tell that this guy's playing you. But when you're watching, when you're there, there's no way to know. You would think I found something and he's questioning me. And he exposes him in front of Josh. And so now him and Josh know, right? And it's like funny. And Danny still has his secret real idol while Matt has a public fake idol, which puts a target on his back immediately, except for Fran, who thinks like, oh, this is great for me and him because now we both have an idol. And it's like, baby girl, y'all got nothing. But, you know, whatever. then we go to the Ratu camp, and Jamie and Matthew are going to get water from the watering hole. And Matthew goes, "Hey, Jamie, what's that?" And he kind of like kicks at something at the bottom of the watering hole. And she bends down and she's like, "Oh, I found the key to the immunity idol and the bird cage and blah, blah, blah." And she's super excited. And, or not, yeah, the key. And, or actually, I don't know if it's the key because they already had the immunity idol thanks to Brandon. So it's like the one that's supposed to be like re-hidden. So I don't know if they put it in birdcage. I can't remember. So she's like, "I found it." And then they cut to Matt in like a confessional, like, "I already found it. I just hid this here for her to find." And it's crazy because he, like, when you think about it, again, when you know everything, you think about things differently. You don't think about it in the terms of how they're looking at it. If I'm on Survivor and the person I'm standing with kicks at something, why would you kick at it? Everybody knows that it's the person who touches it first, like, and gets it, is the person that the idol belongs to, right? So if you go and kick at it and she picks it up, then the idol is hers. Why wouldn't you want it to be yours? But like I said, that's from the viewer perspective, able to see. It's kind of like, hey, that doesn't make any sense. Why is he doing that? But that's after, right? But I like Matthew. I mean, I don't, but I do. Like, I hate the fact that he climbed up at that rock. Maybe he's going to chill out for the rest of the season, but I hated that he climbed that rock. But Jamie then has what she believes is an idol as well. And now looking at all the idols, what you notice is it looks like every tribe's idol is another tribe's fake idol. So what that does, and it's so smart on Survivor and production and Jeff, is that if they still have their idols going into the merge, no one will really know what is a real idol. Somebody can be like, "Well, I have a real idol because of this." And then somebody else will be like, "Oh, that person has beads. That means that's the real idol, not this medallion that I thought was the real idol." And now it's going to cause even more confusion and hopefully mass hysteria. So what I'm looking at is a fantastic merge. I'm hoping so. Man, I don't know what they were thinking for season 44, but I love how things are playing out so far. Then we go to the immunity challenge and Claire sits out again. Now, when Jeff has to be like, "Claire, you're sitting out again?" I don't know why people don't take Jeff's words as foreshadowing. Like, again, we are a viewer. We see the entire thing. But if Jeff said that to me at the beginning of a challenge before we actually started, I'd be like, "Hey guys, that's right. I have sat out the past 2 challenges and I want to be involved in this challenge. So I am going to compete. And does somebody want to step down?" I would 100% say that because I would not allow myself to sit out a 3rd time after Jeff called me out. No way. No freaking way. I'm absolutely getting my butt into that challenge. And if we lose, we lose, and I did everything I could, right? Then they go, and the challenge is like, it's multi-part, like most of them, and then it ends, like I was saying before, with like the squares. It's a square, and they all have different colors, and you have to make sure that each side has different colors. So it's like red, blue, green, yellow, red, blue, green, yellow, but they can't match. They can't have like red, red, blue, green. You have to have red, blue, green, yellow. You have to have all the colors on one side, on all 4 sides. So they're doing it, and Ratu wins. They get it done first. Then Soka and Tika are both running. Initially, Carson's like, "Jam Jam, go look at their thing." And Jam Jam's like, "What? Huh?" He's like, "Go look at it." So Jam Jam runs over, and so Soku goes and runs over to try and look at it. But in the time, like when Jam Jam comes back, he like explains it, and Carson gets it, and Tika wins, as Jeff likes to do, putting his hands up. So Soka loses, and very easy. As soon as they get back to camp, Danny and Josh are like, "Deuces, Claire," which makes the most sense, unfortunately. Girl, you haven't done not nary a challenge. You gotta go. And it's funny because Claire's like, "Well, I don't think that participating in challenges is the only thing that matters." And it's like, but babe, as far as you guys have been on this show, yes, that's all that matters so far, because you have literally done nothing for the tribe. Zero for them. Zero. Not like you fishing and doing all this stuff. Maybe you don't participate, but you're doing everything back at the camp. I mean, maybe because they haven't really shown us y'all's camp life, but it looks like you not doing anything. Like you just there, not participating. And so it's like, girl, why are you here? They could get rid of you, and the team dynamic does not change at all because you've literally supplied nothing. So Danny and Josh try to convince Matt, Franny, and everybody that, okay, we're going to vote out Claire, obviously. But Franny gets the bright idea, well, I kind of want to work with Claire, and I think Josh is sneaky. How is Josh sneaky? What about Josh is sneaky? What did Josh do, and how did Josh behave that was sneaky to you? I still want her to explain that to me because I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I think what she meant, or maybe what she felt, is that Josh is smart. You know, and him being smart, I'm nervous about him. I think Danny is just muscle. He's dumb. And Matt's my boyfriend. So, or like, you know, island boyfriend. So I'm not going to vote him out. So who's left, right? And that's basically what happened. And then she goes to Claire with that. And Claire's like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, thank you for supporting me. And practically in tears talking about, okay, yeah, let's definitely vote out Josh. Now here comes this girl, Heidi, that they ain't shown us for the past 2 seasons. I mean, they showed her, 2 episodes, they showed her, but she hasn't really spoken. And she comes out of nowhere and they're like, Claire's like, can we count on you to vote with us for Josh? I'm like, who is this? I literally watched the episode when she went over to her and I was like, who is this girl? But then I realized Soka hadn't lost yet, so they really had all 6 of their people. So I'm really watching like, this Heidi lady, she's just not familiar to me. You would think someone that they didn't focus on would be the person that goes, but she competed in most of the challenges except for the last one. And so I'm like, sorry, Claire, you should go. But Heidi is surprisingly trying to play this game honestly, and she's like, oh, I would tell you, I believe you haven't really done too much challenge-wise, but I don't think that challenges are the only thing that's important. So she now finds herself in the middle, because the truth of the matter is Matt has no vote for the first 2 tribal councils he goes to. So that would be Danny and Josh versus Franny and Claire. So now Heidi is the only person left. And so it's like, whoever she is went from nobody to everything to the Soka tribe in literally 1 episode. So Claire's trying to convince everybody. She's like, yeah, Josh is suspicious. We should get rid of him. I agree, blah, blah, blah. You know, I, again, don't want Claire to go home because that would mean another woman of color going 1, 2, 3. A woman or woman of color, like, you know, it'd be 1, 2, 3 back to back. But at the same time, I don't think Josh did anything to warrant him going home. And Claire's trying to convince people that you don't have to be strong in challenges to be strong in Survivor. And it's like, no, you absolutely do not. But you do have to bring something to the table. And from the looks of it, she had brought nothing. She just brought herself. She showed up. She was there. She was sleeping on the floor. She wasn't doing nothing else. And that's the thing, like, I get that. I think sometimes if you're smart and weak, people will bring you along. If you're weak and not smart, people will bring you along because maybe they'll think you'll be like a goat. If you're very strong early on, people that, you know, look to tribe strength will want to keep you along, but they'll try to get rid of you right at that point where they think will be good right before the merge. So it's like everybody kind of has their role. But the truth is, I've watched Survivor a long time, and the strongest person never really wins. Like, that is only an attribute that looks good when they're in the group dynamic. Once they get to the individual immunities, if you're super strong, they want to get rid of you. And the funny thing is, being super strong always seems to be to people's detriment. So I don't know why people are afraid of those people. Those people can't do those challenges because a lot of those challenges are body weight challenges. And some of the women and slimmer guys have less body weight. So these challenges, they're much better at. Besides that one guy from last season who was just a beast. Now that's different. He was a beast. He could swim. He was a fish. He was strong. He was an ox. Crazy town, okay? But that's a fluke situation, right? Most of the strong guys are not, they don't have balance. They don't have all that other stuff. So it's different. But yeah, so Claire is trying to convince people that she doesn't need to have competed in these challenges to be important. And to me, in my opinion, it fell on deaf ears to me. But it sounded like because Franny wanted to work with her and Matt likes Franny, they was kind of getting on that train. When they get to tribal council, Claire asks Heidi straight up, how are you feeling? Where are you going to vote tonight? And Heidi was pretty honest, like, I don't think my mind has really changed. Or she said something along those lines. And because of whatever she said, Claire decided to use her shot in the dark. And I think because Claire decided to use her shot in the dark, everybody decided to vote for Claire. Unfortunately, her shot in the dark was unsuccessful. She was not safe, so she was voted out 4-0. And let that be a lesson to everybody moving forward. Don't come to Survivor and sit out of every challenge. You spent who knows how many years applying to get on Survivor. And the first thing you do when you get there is sit out in every challenge. Even if I lose, even if I don't do well, even if I absolutely suck, I'm still going to get out there and compete because one, I didn't come here to sit on the sidelines. It's just so disappointing because I thought she could have been a decent player. But yeah, she didn't. Right now, the people I feel are important to watch, Matthew with the sling on Ratu, Jam Jam from Tika, Carolyn from Tika. I don't know if she's good, but I just think people should watch her. She's hilarious. Josh is really smart. I do think he's going to end up blindsided. I haven't seen episode 4 yet. I also think that maybe Heidi will be someone to watch because of how big of a role she played in this episode, like after being a nobody. Sarah is probably going to make it to the merge, and if Carson also makes it to the merge, she is going to be his downfall. I don't know why I think that, but I do think that. But I am so excited for this season. I actually haven't been this excited for a Survivor season in a long time. 44 is really doing a thing. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like, what you don't like about it. Tell me how you're feeling. I'm excited to hear what people's thoughts are because this season is so different and it doesn't have a lot of things that I didn't like from 43 and 42. So I am excited to hear what people are thinking, and we will be back next week with another episode. Actually, probably before next week because I have to watch episode 4. All right, see you guys later. Bye.